We are on the road to 100 rental properties. My name's Carter, Wisconsin real estate investor, and this property behind me is an absolute nightmare. And we're gonna go over why I personally don't believe that buying old properties are best for rental purposes. So without further ado, let's jump into it. Let's tour you guys around this place and go from there. Okay, so we are in an early 1800s built property. And as you can tell from behind me, it's fully remodeled. It's nice and cleaned up, but this place is an absolute home inspection nightmare. And that's why we're electing to sell it. So this particular place, we had bought it from a personal representative to the estate. They were going through the process. Long story short, the sister inherited it. She had family members who were squatting in the house. They weren't paying rent. They weren't paying the utilities. They honestly had all the utilities shut off besides the water. No gas, no electric, absolute nightmare of a place. So she had reached out to us and she's like, Carter, we need to sell the place. At one point in time, this was probably 4 to 5 months worth of follow-up. And the main reason being is she did not want to be the personal rep for the estate. She wanted to relinquish that responsibility to another family member of hers. But ultimately that ended up falling through. She took back responsibility. So after she took back responsibility, she needed a way to sell the property. I had told her, I'm like, hey, Robin, we need to get in to view this place. Obviously, if there's squatters, that's gonna be a unique situation. And the place was absolutely destroyed. And I'll splice in some before and afters, as you guys can already imagine. But we were standing in the place. It took 3 to 4 months to remodel this. We did flooring, we did paint. The windows were already done, that's a net positive. The siding was already done, the roof was brand new, and the soffit fascia gutters were all brand new. So the major line items were taken care of, but we still spent, I believe, 55, it'll probably be actually like 62,000 by the time we're all said and done, especially with the home inspection repairs. So this place, this is not a winning remodel on our side. And the main reason why we didn't want to keep this as a rental property, it can be a nightmare when it comes to management, and that's what I'm gonna break down for you right now. So the reason that we've been getting away from renting out the older houses is because in Wisconsin, you have multiple different things going on. With older homes, generally you have no insulation. So because of that, utility bills are typically higher. If you're the landlord paying utilities, that means your monthly cash flow goes down, especially during the winter months. The second reason being is most older properties, like the one I'm standing in, this is an upper lower duplex, that the insulation from one floor to the next, as previously mentioned, there is none. So you're gonna hear the tenants' footsteps, you're gonna hear the yelling, the complaining, the bullshit that comes with owning older properties like this one. And the third reason being is plumbing, electrical, and all the major components typically are a little bit older. So you deal with galvanized plumbing, which can be very expensive to replace. You deal with the old knob and tube wiring, which we're dealing with now after the home inspection. And these aren't things that you necessarily want to worry about for years to come. But even though we did a complete remodel on this house, like we did a brand new kitchen, it looks absolutely gorgeous. We got the Lowe's cabinets, we have the laminate counters, stainless steel, single bowl sinks. That's a quick tip for you guys. Single bowl. A little bit cheaper when it comes to plumbing them in. That's why we've been doing it. And then we get the stainless appliance package. As always, it's the same stuff. If you watched my last video, I probably should have just borrowed this fridge since I scratched up the other one, but nonetheless, this one is already in here. But the kitchen turned out phenomenal. Like I had mentioned, all the windows are brand new. We did a bathroom remodel. We did the flooring. And again, in these old duplexes, old houses, the floors tend to be a little uneven. So the floors in here specifically, if I had a marble with me right now, and I'm gonna set the camera down for you guys. If I had a marble with me, it would be sloping like back this way. And in the basement, which I'll show you guys here in just a minute, like the floor joists are kind of all fucked up. So we have to spend some money, repair that, get a foundation guy in here. It's just a big headache versus if you buy something built after 1950s, specifically in Wisconsin, you're dealing with more modern construction, block walls. It's just a little bit easier project. So because of that, our strategy has changed. We're getting rid of a lot of our older places that we had bought initially getting into the rental game. And we're taking that money, investing into newer properties, a little bit nicer areas, nicer neighborhoods, and ultimately where the construction is a little bit newer because the cash flow becomes a lot more predictable. But this house in here, we ended up putting up blinds because we were initially thinking of keeping this as a rental. But as the repair estimate kept going up, or the repair budget kept going up, our cash flow numbers, projected cash flow, kept going down. It just wasn't worth it for us. So going into this old dingy basement, I just was down here. I was measuring things. I was marking the floor. You can see the blue tape down there because all these floor joists are notched out, meaning that we're gonna have to reframe stuff. We're gonna have to put bracing in. We're gonna have to put these handy dandy metal poles in that ultimately will support the load of the foundation, because right now, some of the areas aren't even being supported. The structural integrity might be iffy at best. And per the home inspector, we need to take care of these issues because the buyer will not want to buy it unless we do. And in addition to sticking in a ton of different money into the cosmetics of the property, we had to put in a brand new upper unit furnace. The lower unit furnace is mediocre at best. Both water heaters are now non-functioning. There goes more renovation money, about $1,200 a piece. One's gas, one's electric. Probably have to vent the gas one out the side, so high efficiency unit. And now we have to stick money into tuck pointing the rest of this foundation where it's crumbling. So the foundation is particularly cracked right over in this corner. And you guys can see that for whatever reason, over time, basically the joints are made out of stone, they're made out of mortar. And if it's not maintained or there's a lot of water pushing up against the walls, causing a ton of pressure, that joint mortar ends up falling out, thus creating problems, creating additional rehab costs, creating additional expenses. So all in all, that's not an ideal scenario. And where I'm standing right now, this beam right here, we're gonna have a steel column coming down, because these 2x4s that are right above me, there is nothing supporting this load on this side. So what ends up happening is the floor sinks upstairs. This is right in the kitchen area. Obviously not ideal, but if no one ever does anything about it, then it could result in further issues down the road and end up causing the new buyer a whole lot of money. But now getting back into the numbers on our side. So we picked this house up for $111,000. Not too bad. It's an upper lower duplex, probably fully rented out, would probably rent for about $2,100 per month. I'll take you guys into the upper unit as I'm explaining this. We ended up sticking in, I think we're at roughly $53,000 on a renovation budget right now. We'll probably be all in closer to about 60, 62 after we do the additional repairs that the buyer is requesting of us. And the reason being because we have to put in the 2 new water heaters. Those are roughly gonna be about $1,100 or $1,200 a piece. So add $2,400. We need to do the exterior foundation work. Probably add another $1,500 for that, for the tuck pointing, the sealing of the foundation. We have to bring in dirt to bring up the grade around the exterior so the basement doesn't leak or the mortar doesn't re-wash out. So that's probably another $500, $600, $700. And then we have to have an electrician come in, which we've already have paid $5,500 on this particular job because there's knob and tube wiring in the upper attic space. Now, all of these things, if we wouldn't have bought it for a competitive price, we would be way over budget. We'd be losing money on this deal. But check out this kitchen. This is a nice little kitchen. Of course, we replaced the kitchen cabinets, got the laminate counters again, drop-in stainless steel sink, single bowl sink. You guys know it, let's save some rehab costs. But if we wouldn't have done all the cosmetic upgrades, we wouldn't have gotten the $220,000 sale price that we're asking for. So although we bought it for $111, we have roughly 62 into it. We're in for like 173-ish. If we end up reselling it for $220 or right around there, minus realtor fees, minus realtor commissions, we'll still make between $20,000 to $30,000, which isn't a bad flip house. It's just not ideal for our standards. And I'm sitting on the clawfoot tub right now as I'm talking to you guys, but this bathroom up here, again, we completely redid it. New vanity, new toilet, clawfoot tub is original, but we bought this handy dandy Amazon kit for new plumbing to get the shower spigot up high. So that actually turned out really well. But after running through the entire analysis, flip house versus rental property, old construction, old fixtures, old plumbing, old electrical, everything like that, the liability of keeping this as a rental versus selling it, sticking money into newer build properties in a more cash flow dense area, this didn't make sense to keep. And it's roughly about 45 minutes away from where we live. So my advice would be, if you're looking for properties that cash flow extremely well you're in a nice neighborhood, so on and so forth. If the market demand is there for these upper lower duplexes in your particular area, then maybe pursue them, because the initial entry fee is typically a lot less than a traditional single family home or a multifamily apartment complex. And these do cash flow well. And for your first rental properties, they're not bad. But for us, I'm thinking of the long term. 100 properties acquired, it could be 200 to 300 units. This isn't in our long-term projections of sustainability or the property portfolio that we want to build. So that's why we're going to pass on this. But you can see behind me, backyard's gorgeous. I'm on the upper unit deck right now, and we have the garage in the background. That thing is dilapidated beyond all hell. But for us, you don't really get a whole lot of money in return when you stick it into the garage. You're not getting a dollar for dollar return. So if we would have stuck 10 grand into that place, we would have probably gotten about $3,000 or $4,000 higher, which doesn't make sense for us. And ultimately, I know what some of you guys might be thinking. You might be like, Carter, you're kind of a hypocrite, because don't you own other upper lower duplexes? Yes, we do. Yes, we rent those out. Yes, they were built in the early 1900s or late 1800s. Those ones are just a little bit closer to home. They're in a more desirable neighborhood for us, and that's why we continue to buy them. I will never pass up a good deal. We're always gonna buy it, especially if it's in the state of Wisconsin. Hit me in the comments down below if you have a deal or if you need help analyzing it. But we will never pass up a good deal, because if the rental numbers make sense, chances are the flip numbers are gonna make sense, or we can wholesale it for a quick profit. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you follow along on the journey of us acquiring 100 new properties, and I will catch you in the next video.